Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're already subscribed to my channel and you're wondering why I haven't posted anything in a while, well, that's because I had a baby. This is Cora. If she starts to wake up during this video, I apologize in advance. She is a little over a month now. And I'm very excited, very happy. Living in mom life is very exciting, but also very busy. So that's why I haven't posted anything in a while. So if you are new to this channel, and also thank you for being patient for those who are already subscribed. If you are new to this channel, then welcome and thank you for watching. If you want to learn a little bit more about me and who I am and what this channel is all about, then head over to the very first YouTube video I ever created where I talk all about why my husband and I moved out of Laguna Beach, California to Buffalo, New York, and why the heck we would do that. I'm sure you guys have questions. So I will leave that link linked below. In today's video, I am going to talk all about my experience giving birth at the hospital that I chose to give birth at in Buffalo, New York, right there in the city. So I'm going to talk, this is not going to be like a birth story. This is not a mommy channel or anything like that, but I do want to tell you what experience I had. I gave birth to Cora here on August 1st. And I just wanted to share with you the experience that I had at the hospital. I'm going to talk about what I thought of the staff, what I thought about the doctors, what I thought about the rooms I was in, and just really about the overall experience. And when I did get the bill in the mail, so I will also share with you the insurance that we have and how much it costs for me to give birth at that particular hospital with the insurance that we currently have. Everybody has different insurance, I know that. I'm just going to share with you my experience so you can, I don't know, hopefully the information is helpful to you guys. And if you're wondering and kind of like doing research on your own right now about different hospitals to deliver at in the Buffalo, Niagara area, then maybe some of the info I give you will be helpful and it will make your life easier. So do your own research. I'm not recommending or not recommending the hospital. I'm just going to share with you the experience that I had. I'll give you pros, cons. I'll tell you how far away the hospital is from where I live. And then at the end, I will share with you how much it costs me to deliver at that hospital. So if that all sounds good to you, then keep watching. So I gave birth at Oishei Hospital, which was originally called Children's Hospital in Buffalo, New York. It's right there in the city, and it took us about 20 minutes to get there. I ended up going over my due date, so I did a scheduled delivery, a scheduled induction. When we arrived, as far as like waiting time goes, I didn't have to wait too long when I got there. I called in advance and they told me when to come in and when they would have time to start the induction. So as far as like the experience of getting checked in and everything like that, it was a pretty like seamless experience, and they got everything started like right away. Now with the doctors that I dealt with, something I enjoyed, and I'll start with all the pros and then I'll kind of go into some things that I think that they could improve upon. But Oishei Hospital has a lot of female doctors, and for me personally, I felt more comfortable having a delivery and labor experience with female doctors, a lot of which had babies themselves. So for me, that made me more comfortable. I feel like as a woman, it was nice to have a lot of women doctors in the labor and delivery department. In terms of the nurses, I had a large variety of nurses and a large variety of doctors too, because again, I'm not going to get into the details. This is not like a labor and delivery story, but I will tell you that I had a very complicated delivery experience, and I was in the hospital for 8 full days. So 8 days is, for reference, is a very long time to be in the hospital for labor and delivery. So just to give you an idea, but moving on to what I thought of the doctors and the nurses. The nurses, I would say 98% of the nurses were fantastic. I'm talking about very responsive when I hit the call button, if I was in pain, whatever I needed. They were really quick to respond. 2 of the nurses that I dealt with, and I will leave all the names out of this, but 2 nurses out of the many nurses that I encountered were a little bit unprofessional. One of them was just like very rude, and I actually, had she continued being my nurse, she ended up switching rooms, but had she continued being my nurse, I probably would have requested for a different nurse. She was really just rude for no reason, or maybe she just had a bad day, I don't know. The other one was a little bit unprofessional. I think there is something to say about oversharing, especially with somebody like me that had a very complicated labor and delivery. It was kind of a traumatic experience. And in the postpartum care area, she was my nurse, and she shared with me that the hospital was really understaffed, and was kind of like complaining about that a little bit. But she kind of overshared, because for somebody that was already going through a very traumatic experience, the last thing I want to know is that my hospital that I'm at for the, and receiving care from is really understaffed. Like, I don't want to know that. It just kind of added to already like the anxiety that I had. So, but I will say that overall, like 98% of the nurses were absolutely fantastic, professional, really listened to me when I was, telling them about whatever discomfort I was having, paid attention to, previous notes that the previous nurses had left, and so on and so forth. So really detail oriented, really like responsive again when I hit the call button. The majority of the nurses there were fantastic. Sorry for the dogs. I have 2 little dogs that you guys know about. You've probably heard them barking in other videos. So I felt like the hospital was really, really clean. And sorry for my dogs in the background. You've probably heard them in other videos. But anyways, the hospital was really, really clean. It's a brand new hospital, and that probably helped that it hasn't been around for so long. But yeah, really, really clean hospital. And the room was really large. I will pop in both a video clip and also a picture of 2 of the rooms I was in. I was in more than one room. I was in actually 3 rooms total. But the first room I was in was for labor and delivery. It was pristine clean. I will pop in a video of that. I do a little scan of the room. It had a full bathtub, really nice shower. I actually labored in the bathtub for a while. It was great. And then it also had just a really large, it was a large room, which I really liked. Cons of the room. The labor and delivery room that I was in, the windows were not tinted, and I was butted right up against the parking garage, and it was very close to my room. Like, meaning when my husband parked, he actually parked at one point in front of my room, and he could see into my room. I don't really like that. Oishei, if anybody from Oishei is watching this video, tint your windows. It's the labor and delivery floor. People are totally naked. I was super hot when I was in the hospital, just from all the medications they were giving me. And I was like naked most of the time. I had ice packs all over me, but that was about it. That was the most coverage I had, was ice packs all over me. So please tint your windows on the labor and delivery floor. I'm not, and the last thing I'm thinking of, there were some little curtains that you could draw, but they didn't draw in all the way. So you could still see in. And personally, it made me a little bit uncomfortable. And also, when you're in active labor, for people that know what that is, the last thing on my mind is making sure that the curtains are closed, so, and a lot of times they were open, and I wasn't thinking about the fact that they were open. I just was in laboring. So yeah, that's the one downfall of their rooms. They're really large in the labor delivery floor. The one I was in, at least, was huge and very roomy, but I did not like, nor did I appreciate the fact that people could see from the parking garage directly into my labor and delivery room, especially since I was naked most of the time. So if anybody saw me, sorry, but I'm not sorry, because I was in labor. Okay, the other thing about the rooms, the second room I was in, the post-op room, much, much smaller room. Didn't like that. My mom and my husband were both with me, especially because I was in the hospital for so long. I couldn't take care of her because of all the complications I was having. And I had a long recovery, of course, so I wasn't able to take care of her. My mom and my husband were both in the rooms spending the night with me. And the room in the post-op was really small in comparison to the first room. So that I would say would be a con. Again, another pro, nurses on the floor, on the post-op floor, were fantastic. Again, very responsive, and like 98% of them were wonderful. And I already mentioned the 2 nurses that I had kind of a negative experience with. But the majority of the nurses were great. And also, again, the doctors were fantastic. And then on that floor, I will show you a picture of the view that we had in the post-op room. Fantastic view. It's a view overlooking the whole city of Buffalo. It was blue, sunny skies because it was obviously summer when I gave birth. And so it was really, really pretty. So I really wish actually that the labor rooms were on the second floor where I was at. I don't remember what floor, second or third floor, but higher up with that view of the city, because it's so calming. And for, you know, when you're in your labor experience, anything that makes you calm is like a plus. So I kind of wish that the higher floors were the labor and delivery floors secretly, but well, I guess not so secret now. So that was a plus. What else? Bathroom on the post-op floor was really small, as well as the room itself. So that kind of sucked. Okay. I'm going to talk about a con real quick here with the actual rooms. Get a holder. Oishei needs to get a holder for their call button and their phone. The cord were dropping constantly, and they have this little basket that's all the way behind the bed. When you're laying in the bed, you can't reach it. So that was a little nerve-wracking, to be honest with you, because that has the phone. There's a phone and there's a separate one with other buttons, like the TV buttons, and then there's a call button. And on there, and there wasn't any holder on the bed for those. They need to get a holder. So if somebody from Oishei is watching, please, for the love of God, get some holders for those things, because they were falling all over the place. I would sit on them. They would be behind me in that basket, which I couldn't reach. Like, that's a little dangerous when you have your call button on something the person can't even reach. So I would say that would be a con. Other than that, the equipment, aside from that equipment, the other equipment that I saw seemed to be looked brand new, seemed was up to date. And, I didn't have really any issues with any of the other equipment in the rooms, in any of the rooms actually. So, and then overall, like the doctors, the majority of them, I would say like a pro, they asked me before they did something. They didn't just do things without asking. There was only one doctor that did some things without asking, and I politely said, hey, next time you do something, can you at least ask me, or at least like warn me ahead of time that you're going to do something, so that I have some like heads up. So, and from the perspective of like someone being in labor, it's really appreciated when you have like open communication like that with your doctors. So, the other thing, and like as far as like the office, like the overall, like the people, like the staff, I would say I had an emergency. Again, I'm not going to go into the details of my birth story, but I did have an emergency moment, a few emergency moments. But one of those emergency moments, multiple doctors and staff and nurses had to rush into my room. And it was a very scary moment, and I was very overwhelmed. My mom was crying. I was crying. My husband was freaking out. And in that moment, they also had some trainees in there. They were nurses. They were girls that were training to be nurses, and there were like 3 extra people doing things like taking my blood pressure during a very traumatic event. And they were doing it over and over and over again because they were practicing taking blood pressure in this like emergency moment. So they were using it. Oishei is a training hospital. They send people there specifically to train. I'm sure other hospitals do that too. But in that moment, it was not appreciated to have people. I know it's important for people to train. So part of me after the fact understands why they had them there. But in that moment, I did not appreciate them using that as like a training moment, because it was very scary. It was a very scary moment. And the last thing I wanted was more people in my room. And again, that was the room that was really, really small already. So it already felt crowded, and I was feeling claustrophobic already. And then you have a lot of doctors and staff rushing in your room. And so there's already a lot of people in there, and to add additional people, like 3 more people, and they're all doing the same tests on you over and over again for training purposes, that was really irritating to me. And it was a moment where I didn't say anything because I couldn't say anything in that moment. But if I was coherent enough to say something, I would have probably yelled at somebody. And that's sad to say, but it was a very frustrating moment. So I did not like that. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you have given birth at other hospitals in the Buffalo area. Have you had any of the same experiences? Is this just Oishei that kind of has these things going on, or other hospitals where they kind of do the same thing? So again, I'm just sharing my experience with you. Overall, I would say overall, through all the traumatic things that happened to me for the 8 days I was in the hospital, I would say that overall I was happy with the staff that I dealt with. And I was really happy with how the hospital was set up and how clean it was. Would I deliver there again? I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to have another baby, so we'll see about that. Let me get through baby number 1 and we'll see. Give me until month number 6, and then I might answer that question. It costs. So for us, it costs for this, because I ended up with a C-section. So because I ended up with a C-section, I was charged a little over $2,000. So it was a little over $2,000, and our insurance is with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Oh, you'd rather dance than eat. Yes, yes. You'd rather dance with me. And yes. Ooh. Ooh. She's just going, her mouth is hanging open, she's doing 1, 2, let's dance. 1, 2, 3. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. I want a ba. Let's see what dance should we do? Huh? Who dance? Mama dance. Daddy dance. Baby dance. What should we do? What? Ooh.